Yeah, like, so I've struggled with my mental health on and off for years now. I've had it, like, issues with my mental health since I think probably started my teenage years. I think that's when a lot of problems come into play in general. It's became a lot easier as an adult, but I think a lot of the things you face when you're younger are things like people when you go and look for help and it's like, oh, it's just teenage hormones, or oh, this will pass, it's just a phase, and all that stuff can be really discouraging for young people. And I think people need to recognise that mental health and hormones like that, yes, they can have an impact on each other, but it's not all just that. That's something that really affected me and made me feel kind of, what's the word? Like disregarded when I tried to speak about my mental health, was the fact that I knew I was going to be knocked back and like, well, you're just a teenager and this will all go away. And I'm 21 years old now and it's not just went away. It took a lot of work, it took a lot of time to get to where I am, but I'm glad that I've had a support system around me that I've been able to do that. So a lot of my issues with my mental health was anxiety based. I started getting anxiety within schools, I couldn't go to any classes. I faced a lot of bullying in school for just kind of being simply who I wanted to be, and that is when a lot of my anxiety kind of started. When anxiety, if you're facing it for a really long time, it kind of automatically falls into depression as well. You don't want to go outside, you don't want to look for help, and you don't want to go to like school and stuff like that. So that was a lot of the pressures I faced, and my anxiety still carries on into day-to-day life, but it's definitely a lot more manageable now. But yeah, that's something I had to really get to overcome. I think talking for me is the best kind of way to make me feel better. There's a lot of different avenues that you can go down, but talking therapy, even just like going back and forth with someone, just someone who really actually cares and wants to listen. So there's a school counsellor in my school. I went to her for a couple of years, and then outside of that I found my own kind of supports within like work and friends and family, and I went to a few kind of private professionals as well. But for me, it was just being able to talk and share exactly how I'm feeling. I'm someone, if I bottle it up for too long, I will just completely explode. I need to be able to like express that. And I think just finding the right people to actually express that too. My biggest tip is, again, talking. I know everyone says like, oh, just talk about it, just talk about it. It took me a long time to be able to just talk about it as well. That's like a really important thing. No one really, it is uncomfortable, and there's such a stigma around mental health that just be like, oh, just talk about it isn't that simple. It's something that has to be built on, and you have to have the right people who build you up to be able to talk about things. But that's like a really big like coping strategy for me, is when I'm down or when I'm upset, I need to talk about it. But before that, sometimes I just need to take some time out. I'm big on music, I'm big on dancing, so I spend a lot of time in my room doing both of those things, whether it's singing or just listening to music or just kind of relaxing. That's my de-stressor. I spend a lot of time, I'm a bit of a hermit, quite like being alone. I feel quite comfortable in my own company, and so I definitely know that I can feel a bit burnt out if I'm around people for too long, so just time to myself to do whatever it is I need to do to unwind is probably a big top tip for me. I think a major impact of anyone's mental health is the people that you surround yourself with. You definitely can be a product of your environment, and it's my dad always used to say, show me your friends and I'll show you your future, and it's something that you don't want to really listen to when you're younger, but it's absolutely true. You really need to surround yourself with people who are good for you and positive for you and have positive impacts on you, or you will just get dragged down with the rest of them. So yeah, just definitely like surround yourself with people who care, and the people who don't aren't worth it anyway.